NSA. But Edward Snowden didn't actually work for the National Security Agency. He worked for a company called Booz Allen Hamilton, a large private American technology firm. So how can these leaks, which have exposed NSA wrongdoing, come from an employee of a private company? Well, when we started to look into it, we realized it's a pretty interesting story. So let's start first with the company themselves. It's been estimated that 99% of their income comes from government contracts. In 2012, they had a revenue of $5.86 billion, but 23% of their contracts come from America's intelligence community, which is made up of 17 different intelligence departments. You could say that Booz Allen Hamilton are specialists in winning government intelligence contracts. So how do they do that? Well, again, that's an interesting story. We'll start with this guy, Mike McConnell. Between 1992 and 1996, Mike McConnell was the director of the National Security Agency. So when Mike McConnell retired from the NSA, he was offered a job at, you guessed it, Booz Allen Hamilton. He brought with him all of his government contacts, and he was soon promoted to senior vice president of his new company. Well, Mike McConnell left Booz Allen Hamilton in 2007 because George Bush, who was president at the time, named him as the Director of National Intelligence. The Director of National Intelligence oversees the 17 members of America's intelligence community. Again, the very same community that Booz Allen specialize in servicing. That's people like the CIA, the NSA, and a whole bunch of agencies you've probably never heard of. They all report to the Director of National Intelligence, who reports back to and advises the President. At this time, McConnell was also the chairman of the board for the Intelligence and National Security Alliance. It's a public policy forum which, according to the Washington Post, was working to introduce a growing network of private contractors, large and small, to government intelligence agencies. And no one seemed to have a problem with this.
I plan to continue the strong emphasis on integration of the community to better serve all of our customers. That will mean better sharing of information, increased focus on customer needs and service, improved security processes, and deeper penetration of our targets.
So just 4 months after leaving Booz Allen Hamilton and starting his new job as Director of National Intelligence, one of Mike McConnell's staff was giving a presentation at an intelligence industry conference. And in the presentation was this slide. It literally marks the date of September the 11th and shows how contracts and spending increased dramatically after the event. The presentation also showed that 70% of the annual budget, which was $60 billion at the time, was spent on contracts with private firms. A later slide cheerily proclaimed, "We can't spy if we can't buy." Under McConnell, the total intelligence budget of the government, in case you're confused, increased from $63.5 billion in 2007 to $76.2 billion in 2009, after which he left the government and headed straight back to Booz Allen Hamilton, where he is still the vice chairman. Booz Allen Hamilton actually boast on their own website about the influence Mike McConnell had, saying, as the Director of National Intelligence, he managed the expansive National Intelligence Community, an organization of over 100,000 people, and an annual global enterprise budget of over $47 billion, and had extensive interactions with the White House, the President's Cabinet, Congress, international leaders, and the US business community. If you think the story ends there, then you're mistaken. The current Director of National Intelligence is a guy called James Clapper, and wouldn't you know it, he was previously an executive at Booz Allen Hamilton. He's the guy who sat in front of Congress and said this.
Does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
It does not.
Not wittingly. Not wittingly.
So the people appointed to the highest positions in the American intelligence agencies go and work in the highest positions of American intelligence industries. Then they go back to government, and then they go back to the American intelligence industry. You have to wonder if these guys are able to set policy whilst they're in government, then exploit that policy financially whilst they're at a private company. And it isn't isolated to these two examples either. James Woolsey used to be the head of the Central Intelligence Agency. He's currently Senior Vice President at Booz Allen Hamilton. Melissa Hathaway is a former executive at Booz Allen Hamilton. She used to work for Mike McConnell during the Bush administration. Richard J. Wilhelm, Executive Vice President of Booz Allen Hamilton. He was formerly Executive Director for Intelligence Community Affairs at the Central Intelligence Agency. But once again, the story does not end here. Booz Allen Hamilton